Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to start a new series where we will be discussing the Salesforce developer and the admin related interview questions along with their answers, mainly focusing for 3 to 5 years of experienced candidate. So before beginning, I would like to recommend to watch these videos on 2x so that even in case if you are already aware of those topics, you will quickly revise them and get ahead. In case if you are not sure, you can just revise these topics. So let's begin. So if profile has a read access to a particular object, okay, and we create a permission set where we provide the read and write access, then what will happen? Okay, this can be asked as a scenario-based question just to check your understanding about the profiles and the permission sets. Because gone are the days where the interviewer used to ask what is the difference between profile and a permission set. They don't ask it like that. Even for a fresher, they will just ask the scenario. So the answer is the assigned user will have both read and write permission for that particular object. Next question could be if profile has read and write and permission set has read access, okay, then what will happen? So the answer is the user will have both read and write access because we cannot decrease the permission on a profile, but we can increase the permission using the permission set. So we know the concept, right? That the permission set is used to extend the current permission the user have, right? Okay, next one is a user should see the account name but not the annual revenue. Okay, so how will you achieve this? Okay, so first of all, we need to understand what where the question is coming from, right? So we need to make sure that the account name is visible but the annual revenue is not, right? So the FLS user, the field level security for that particular object, okay, we may hide it for that particular user. And also in case if we are providing the access to that particular object from the permission set, then we can also remove that permission from there. Okay, now the next question is sales user should not see the service department records and vice versa. So how do you handle this? Okay, so first of all, in this type of questions, we need to make sure that we are starting from the bottom, that is the OWD. So we know that if the OWD of a particular object is private, then only the record's owner can see the record until and unless that particular record is not shared with any other user explicitly, right? So here we will set the OWD to private and ensure the sales user and service users are assigned different roles, right? And then we can use the criteria based or role based sharing rules to share the record only with a specific department. Okay, now this is again easy one. So make sure the field is mandatory only when the stage is closed one, right? So we can use a validation rule here to there are multiple ways. I'll leave it up to you to write it down on the comment section, but a validation rule is the easier approach. Again, a follow-up question can be asked about why are we not going with making the field as a required one. So the simple answer is when we make a field required, it is mandatory all the time, not based on certain condition, right? So yeah, that's the answer. Then say there are users from two countries, say India and US. Make sure that India user sees only the records owned by India users whose country is India. So again, we'll need to start, make it a habit, need to start from the very basics and the bottom, that is set the OWD to private, then use the criteria based sharing rule where we can select the country, users country as India, and share it with, create a group where we will add all the users from India as the country and then share the record with them. Okay. Now again, we need to share an opportunity with the user B when the amount is greater than say 10 lakhs. Okay. So how do we share it? So for this kind of things, we do have Apex managed sharing rules, right? Then sometimes people may ask like, why are you directly going with the code-based approach and not the out of the box functionality like sharing rules or manual sharing, right? So basically the thing is the sharing rules doesn't support the record level dynamic user assignment, because if we go with the sharing rules, we will be able to share the record with a particular role or the group. And again, manual sharing that is not scalable. That could be the challenge in case if there are multiple records that needs to be shared, we can't share it manually all the time. And then say there is another question. Say manager should not see the subordinate records given that the grant access using hierarchy checkbox is checked, but we want to make sure that the user manager does not see the record. So we can use the restriction rule, okay? Because the role hierarchy cannot be overridden otherwise. All right. Okay, the next question, how would you ensure that a record only owner can edit and for the other users it should be read, right? So you got the question right. That only the owner of that particular record can edit and for rest of the users it is a read only kind of. So again, the OWD will be private, and for the object level, we will use either the profile or the permission set and provide the edit access, right? And because when we provide edit access, we also get the read access by default. And then we can create a sharing rule and provide the read only access using that sharing rule. Okay, next question is, how are public group and queues different? Okay, so one line answer is public group is used for sharing the record and queues are used for record ownership. Okay, so what are guest users? So guest users are people without user account in your Salesforce org. They are also called unauthenticated users because they don't need to log in like any other, say, developer or admin. Okay, so what is the difference between managed package and unmanaged package? So unmanaged package is basically once it is installed, it behave like things we have created yourself in the ourselves in the org. Okay, whereas components of managed package are locked from being edited, kind of like apps when we install in our smartphones. So again, a one-liner difference can be managed package. We cannot make any changes to those codes, whereas unmanaged package we can edit. Okay. So what are the limitations of master detail relationship in Salesforce? So again, we know that the standard Salesforce objects can't be used as the detail side, right? It can be used only as the master. And then the detailed record doesn't have its own ownership or sharing settings. It follows whatever the master record has. Next question is, what are the types of flows in Salesforce? So of course there are multiple type of flows. Record triggered flow, runs only when the records are created or updated. Okay. Schedule flow, it is basically a schedule. We can schedule these flows to run at a specific time. Then auto launch flow are triggered by code or other flows. Then we have screen flows, which is more like depends on the user input. Then we have platform event triggered flow response to some events. And then the newly one is the orchestration, manage multiple steps. Okay, so what are the best practices for designing a flow? Okay, so definitely it's a very long answer. You can have multiple, all the best practices that we follow while writing triggers. We need to keep them in mind. Definitely, we will discuss these questions in detail in our upcoming uh, videos. So as of now, say subflow, we need to use subflow to organize the logic. We need to make sure that we don't hard code values and we use variables or custom levels or custom metadata wherever possible. Error handling is very important. We need to use the entry condition to reduce the load and always consider platform limit to avoid automation failure. Okay. Then what is flow debugging? Okay, so flow debugging helps us to test how our flow runs, either through a visual canvas or error logs. And we can also pause the flow. We can view the step-by-step execution and also test different scenarios without actually activating the flow. How does run as another user work in Flow? Okay, so this feature basically lets Flow runs using the permission of a selected user, which is helpful for enforcing access controls or testing how Flow behave for different roles. What is a permission set group? Again, a permission set group bundles several permission set into one. It simplifies access control and allows you to mute certain permission within the group, which is useful for large organization. I can tell you this is a very common interview questions these days because people are really interested in knowing whether you have worked on the permission set group, whether you are aware of the permission set muting. So this is a good question. Okay, so what types of sharing rules are available? Okay, so definitely this owner-based sharing rule, there is criteria-based sharing rule, and then there is the third one, which is the guest and territory-based rules. So what is a queue in Salesforce? Of course, we already discussed this question in our previous slide, but here is a detailed answer. So a queue is a group of users who can collectively own records like leads or cases. It keeps record secure until someone takes the ownership and helps with workload distribution. Then we have what is the difference between manual sharing and epic sharing? So basically manual sharing is done by user through the UI to share individual record, and epic sharing is controlled by code, making it suitable for large scale or automated sharing rules, sharing logic. Then what are record type? Again, it's a very simple question, but we should be able to explain it clearly to the interviewer. So record type lets you show different layout, pick list, and processes based on the kind of records being created. They are useful when one object supports multiple business use cases. Then what are quick actions? Okay, so basically quick actions are nothing but the buttons that let the users quickly create or update records, log calls, or run custom logic. They are placed on record pages and global layouts to improve productivity. So basically it's a kind of shortcut which people have, okay, to quickly uh, go ahead with the things that needs to be done. And what is page overriding? Okay. So page overriding basically means replacing the standard page with a custom, say Visual Force page or Lightning components. It is used when we need a custom UI or a far more advanced logic. So that's it from my side. Thank you everyone. In case if you find these videos helpful, do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and it will definitely motivate me to keep continue the work I have started. In case if you are having any confusion or any doubts or you need any help, feel free to drop me an email on the email ID. Thank you.